Greetings, and welcome once again to the Grindhouse. Tonight I thought I'd do something a little different. Ever since the election of Captain Game Show, as I like to call him, I've been watching a lot of B films, a lot of cult movies, a lot of Grindhouse films here and there, different ones, really. Been pretty much doing it like watching 2 a night, pretty much, so far. Decided, oh, hi Ninja. Decided I was going to review a double feature tonight. Tonight's double feature is, I guess for lack of a better term, these would fall under women in prison films. One's a bit of a roughie, though. For those of you that don't know, a roughie is one of those, like, really, hardcore, not hardcore sex and violence, but pretty close. It's not like porn, but it's pretty, it's definitely got a hard R rating back in the 70s or 80s whenever this came out. It was a little piece of what some would call Nazi exploitation called Women's Camp 119. Directed by Bruno Mattei, who has some real odd films to his credit. If you delve into some of his bio here and there. Down. Stop scratching there. If you delve into some of his bio, it's pretty much one of those, what do you call it? Pre-Tarantino makers, I suppose. Pre-Tarantino film director types. But, he's pretty up there. He's kind of up there with, like, Ruggiero Deodato or Mir Zakari. I'd put him in the same, same category of directors. Anyway, Women's Camp 119. The only real name actress in this film is Lorraine DeSalle, who played in House on the Edge of the Park with David Hess. She's about the only real actress in this film that I had seen in terms of, more than one movie. She plays a doctor named Maria, who is basically assigned to this Nazi camp, and it's a bit graphic. It's got your list of characters like a henchman who's sort of a prisoner, known as Crazy Kurt, and he works for the leader of the group, and it's pretty much, women in prison. A lot of it's pretty graphic. I don't recommend seeing this if this isn't your type of film. It's a pretty rough film. It's got a good revenge thing to it, though. If you look at some of the characters closely, I don't know if it was supposed to be a wraparound story around one certain character, but if you see the film, you might think it's the same person. I'm not sure. I don't really want to give away too much. It's a good movie. It's pretty graphic, though. Let's see. Then after that, there was Strike of the Tortured Angels. This movie looked like it took place in Hong Kong, and it's got a lot of girls going to like this prison camp, like a reform school, and like 3 main characters. One has tuberculosis, and she is dying, or I guess she's dying because they don't really go into detail over her condition all that much that I know of, to be in all honesty. Let's see. It's pretty much that, and another girl who I think loved a doctor who then had an affair with her sister, who then had an affair with her mom, if you can figure that one out. And let's say the doctor is basically, he's probably going to stand a good chance of getting his comeuppance. And then, of course, there was one girl named, I think she was known as Ginger, and she was kind of like she was just, basically there. She didn't get killed, surprisingly. At least I don't think she did. But it's pretty much one of those, it's not as graphic as Women's Camp 119, but it had its moments of probably cringe, for lack of a better term. And in all, these are definitely Grindhouse movies. These are movies you would probably see at 2 in the morning on 42nd Street in the mid-80s. These are pretty much standard fare. Next Wednesday, I'm going to try to review 2 more. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the next ones will probably be, I think one might be on Kung Fu and Cannibalism. At least I hope that's on the list. And another is going to be a Mondo Kanye documentary type of esque film. It's going to be Raw Force and Savage Man, Savage Beast. Decent movies. Yeah, pretty much one of those watch at your own risk movies, I suppose. Although Raw Force was good. Raw Force is really decent. To be in all honesty, it's pretty much up there with a lot of Kung Fu movies. But in any event, that'll be next week. Hopefully this Friday, I will probably try to review a movie I've been wanting to review for quite a while and just haven't gotten around to it. That would be Evil Dead. So until then, this has been the Grindhouse. Very well. Here's a look at Ninja. There you are. Yes. Little cameo.